Hello again. The other day I made this card with two tiny little daisy flower things on, and I used this very old Cuttlebug die. These are some of the very first ones I had, and they used to come in a whole set, and they're quite thick. They've got a layer of I don't know what to go. It's like plastic of some description, polystyrene-y sort of stuff, which is a cushion. And it took me a while to work out what the sandwich was in my Platinum 6, but I worked out in the end that if I used the base plate, a magnetic sheet, this, and then the top plate, it would cut. I don't know if that's what they recommend, but it's what worked for me anyway. So I cut out some, and what I'm trying to do today is to show how you can use just one ink pad but get different effects, different colors, in fact, different shades from the same ink pad. So today I'm going to use this larger one, and I've done a little bit already, and you can see the difference between these two. So you can just decide for yourself what you fancy doing. So what I want to do is to colour a daisy and see which background, again from the same ink pad, I'm going to put on. So here we are. Here's one I've just cut, and I'm just going to gently colour it with what is left on my blending brush, because put some more on and obviously the colour will be a lot deeper, but I don't really want it that deep at the moment. If you wanted a paler colour, you'd rub this off onto some scrap like this until a lot of the colour had gone, and you'd have the very palest colour. So there's lots of ways of altering what you get on your actual piece of card in the end. So there we go. I think that's quite deep enough for my liking. So now what I'm going to do is to ink up the stamp as I did for the little card here. Didn't put any background colour on, but I just inked up the stamp, stamped it to make the design, and used the centres directly onto the ink pad, which is kind of what I'm going to do for this one. So I've got my background colour on. I'm going to ink. This is just a spotty stamp that I've had for donkey's ages. There's a date on this stamp. It says 2005, so that takes it back a bit. I don't think I've had it from, well, I haven't had it from then because I didn't start card making until 2007. So there we are, bit of ink just over the top. Give it a press, and we should have a nice little design. There we go, pretty little design on the flower. Let me just clean up the mess, otherwise I'll get in a pickle. I think I need a new paper towel. Not paper towel, wet wipe. That one's wet, dirty enough. Okay, there we go. So I've got that. Now I want to colour the centre. I've got one there that I coloured with putting it directly onto the ink pad. So what I think I will do now, just dry this off. This has just come to me as I'm doing it, and I don't know if I've got everything that I need ready to do it, but we'll see. Let's do it with that one and that one. What I'm going to do is ink this up this time with some Versamark. There we go. Just going to stamp it. I think I get the place where I did it. Stamp over them. There we go. Now I'm going to just drop them into my clear embossing powder. There we go, just move that out of the way. wipe up the mess. There we go. I'm going to have to hold on to these, otherwise they're going to go from here to next week. There we go. Heat up my There we go. Now this is what you call Emboss Resist, because I stamped with clear embossing powder. I stamped with Versamark, which is a clear embossing ink, and then I embossed it with clear embossing powder. Now I'm going to put some colour over the top, and we'll see how much colour we need. Now I'm going to get a bit more intense colour than I used for the petals by using this directly from there onto here. Let's get a bit more. I think I still want a bit more. I think I'm going to put it onto the pad itself. There we are. Now, I really need to let that dry before I try to take the colour off the embossing powder. Where it's been embossed, it's going to resist the colour. But if I wipe it now before it dries, it'll take some of the colour off the background, as well as taking it off the top of the embossing powder. So I'm just going to leave it for a bit to dry. This one I'll try it just with the brush. I can wipe that one then, and you'll see the difference. All these the different amount of water that you use, the different amount of ink that you use, all have an effect on the overall finished piece of card. Right, let me just wipe a bit of this with the baby wipe. I'm not going to do that one yet, I'm just going to do this one. See how they come up white again? Just get rid of the ink off the top. There we go. That one has come out kind of straight. I do like them. That one's going to be a better one, I think, but we'll wait until that one's dry. So you get different effects from, do you see? Might decide that you prefer to have that way with that one, with just a tiny bit of colour on the edges of the petal. You see? So we're getting a whole bunch of different effects from just the way we use the Inkpad together with a blending brush or whatever. All sorts of different effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one of these. Don't know how, why, I may fiddle around. This one, I nearly ruined it because I put on the crystal glaze, which is this Nouveau crystal glaze, and it nearly went through the die cutting machine, stuck to something else. Managed to rescue it just in time. Anyway, those are the flowers. So I'm going to be using a flower on a background of some description. This one, I used this stencil that I cut myself. I think this is a Silhouette Studio stencil that I bought, but then I reduced the size enormously to this tiny little thing. Took forever to cut out, but placed onto a piece of card and very, very gentle. For that one, for this one, I don't know if you can see the colours there, but I did use a piece of paper to take off a lot of the colour from my brush before I went through the stencil. So that's a possibility. These two were made just by inking up an acrylic block with this ink pad, and that one had a tiny, tiny, tiny drop of water. This one had more water, and then I actually spritzed it once it had been stamped and blotted it. All different effects. This one, again, was one of my stencils that I cut myself, but overall, if I only want to use one flower, it gets lost on there, so I decided that was going to be for something else. It's going to be too much. But then another one of my Cuttleboat dies had these on, and I rather like those. So that's that top one, cut from there. And I think I may be going to use this one, and I think I may actually leave it white to get a bit of contrast from the flower itself. So there we go. Different ways of getting different colours, different effects from the same ink pad. I am absolutely delighted that people find inspiration from the cards that I make and put on social media, on Facebook or whatever. And they say, oh, can I copy? Can I copy? And I never mind people using my ideas. I think, you know, there's very little in the way of original thought, original ideas. But I think rather than just copying exactly the same, using exactly the same products, they should be giving you an idea, a jumping off point, not to use the same things, but to look at what you've got and see how you could adapt what you have to do something that is similar. I think often a good starting point is a sketch, and I like to draw sketches fairly frequently for the Clean and Simple Facebook card making Facebook group, which just gives you an idea of where to start. So do take my ideas, but run with them yourself and put your own twist on it, and I think you'll be much more pleased with what you finish up with than just a straight copy of something that you've already seen. And it'll be yours, your very own. So, as ever was, I would like to say thank you very much for watching. I do hope you'll have a go. And if you haven't actually subscribed to my channel, my son said that I should ask you to do that, and if you hit the little bell, anytime I do post another one, you'll be notified, and you can have a look and see what you think. And I do love you saying what you think. I've got broad shoulders, I can take it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching.